I had to create a very strict boundary as to whom I would allow into my circle, or even my mom would have to create a real filter, before anything reaches me. And that filter remains till today. Mystery with actors is not there anymore. Right? So there's no more mystery behind it. With the coming of social media as well. When normal people get to express themselves so much, why should actors refrain from being themselves in front of the camera? It doesn't make any sense. The so-called influencers are more popular than actors also, so that is the world we live in, and I think we have to embrace it and accept it for what it is. But can it cause hindrance and I would say invading our privacy, or does that cause irritation? Yes, it does.
வணக்கம், வெல்கம் டு சினிமா எக்ஸ்பிரஸ். நான் அவினாஷ் ராமச்சந்திரன். இன்னைக்கு நம்ம கூட நடிகை மம்தா மோகன்தாஸ் இருக்காங்க. வெல்கம் டு அவர் ஷோ.
தேங்க்யூ அவினாஷ்.
நிறைய பேருக்கு அட்லீஸ்ட் நான் வந்த டைம்லலாம் உங்களை பார்க்கும்போது ஆன் ஸ்க்ரீன் ரைட் ஃப்ரம் யோர் மலையாளம் ஃபிலிம் டேஸில் ஒரு ரிஃப்ரெஷிங்கான ஒரு எங்களை பார்க்குற மாதிரியான ஒரு இது இருந்துச்சு. எங்கள் ரெப்ரஸன்டேஷன் மாதிரியாக இருக்கட்டும், நீங்கள் யூஸ் பண்ண ஃபேஷன் சாய்ஸஸாக இருக்கட்டும், நீங்கள் பண்ணுற ஃபிலிம்ஸாக இருக்கட்டும், அப்படி இருந்தது. நீங்கள் வளரும் போது யாரை பார்த்து அப்படி வளர்ந்தீங்க? who do you think was your representation on screen?
At that time, probably என் மைண்டில் சிண்டி க்ராஃபர்ட், மிஷல் ஃபைஃபர், அந்த மாதிரி பீப்புள் தான் இருந்திருப்பான். பிகாஸ் ஐ க்ரூ அப் ஸ்டைல் ஐக்கன்ஸ் சொல்லும்போது தே ஆர் த ஃபேஸஸ் தட் ஐ ஹேட், தே ஆர் த பாடி டைப் தட் ஐ ஹேட் இன் மை மைண்ட். ஐ டிட் நாட் ஹேவ் இட், பட் that was my inspiration, because that's what I grew up watching.
Startingly you acted for the biggest stars of Malayalam cinema and Indian cinema actually.
Can say yes.
Were you ever overwhelmed by that? நாங்க இவ்வளோ பெரிய ஆளும் ஆப்போசிட்ல இருக்கோம் அப்படின்னு.
I mean, artists பார்க்கும்போது கண்டிப்பா you're seeing them in human form for the first time, because I grew up in Bahrain. So, there's always that they are an unapproachable, from another world. Almost like when you're growing up in the Middle East, India itself feels like another planet sometimes.
Right.
And then on top of that, add one more layer to it, the most unapproachable, impenetrable, when a cinema industry is like that. And because of lack of access to both, the frequency to India was lesser, as well as frequency of the availability of cinema. Indian cinema itself coming to the Middle East at that time was almost next to none. Then parents create their own restrictions because of content. What kind of content should a child who is watching cartoons actually watch? Edavadhu oru scene vanda, they have to change it, right? Yeah. So I grew up in definitely those times, and so because of that, definitely there was a lot of limitations in in being able to get closer to cinema. So automatically what happens is this girl who never thought that she would even have anything to do with films, or I never had a inclination towards becoming an actor. Or even thought, I didn't even think that it was remotely possible to begin with. I was very academically sort of aligned, I would say. So this is not something, and I never thought it would be for me or even someone who looked like me at the time. Definitely, my first film was with a newbie. Comfortable, very comfortable. Rendu perum debutants and rendu perum like children to veteran director Hariharan. Definitely my first moment of awe was there, because I was a big fan of a movie called Sargam, which is a music classical. I don't know if you watched it. If you haven't, please do. It still stands for me. I did that movie, and I watched that film when I was a kid, and that is what inspired me to start learning Carnatic Sangeetam. It's crazy, right? Like after so many years, your first movie is with director Hariharan, and that's a film that had moved me a lot, and that marked my beginning. But of course, besides Hariharan, he's not someone you see on screen all the time. My second film was where the real challenge started. Now, the second film also puts like a very, undue expectation on you, because there's a weight of what they expect from me now. The first film, you're always forgiven. Second film is where the real, journey begins. So that was Bus Conductor, playing a character named Selina as Mammootty sir's youngest sister. Yeah. I had some very interesting moments during the shoot of that film, because you know, as any Malayali, conventional Malayali kid, especially who's growing overseas, there's a lot of that innocence, as well as um, you come with a very nice kind of overconfidence, I would say. Okay, because you blatantly tell people things on their face.
Right.
And I had one such moment with Mamuka, and it did not really go down too well. But there was also one part of it where, we kind of broke the ice there with that tiff, as you want to say. Probably he also wouldn't have expected someone who's just come into cinema. He said something like that about me, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I gave it back to him. That's what happened. But that kind of gave rise to this beautiful friendship to be formed. Their understanding of two I would not actors. I would just say two different people from two different generations.
Right.
So he saw the innocence behind it, and also the I think what happens is after a period of time, the actors forget, right? Like our human side.
Yeah.
So I think this was like oh yeah, one such awakening for him. And it was cute what we spoke after that. And till date, we kind of have that rapport. Then comes my opportunity to work with Mr. Mohanlal, right? So Laletan it's been a very interesting. I still haven't really. I think I've probably only scratched the surface of getting to know each other personally. But cutting the long story short, yes, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of actors, and definitely down the road you realize that they're very different when they're on screen, off screen. They have a different side to themselves, and you can never know anyone enough.
Yeah.
And the thing with cinema is you hardly get to spend that kind of quality time with all these amazing actors that you work with. I don't believe that the moment that we are working is it's authentic to the creative process, but
Right.
it probably might not be authentic to the human side of all of us. Because unless you have an extended period of shoot with each one of these actors, you barely scratch their surface. So there are many actors whom I would have loved to know even better, beyond just the space, the time that we spent together on the sets. So, and definitely we will be coming to that, because one such person that I'm in great admiration is with somebody that I recently worked with. Yes.
I wouldn't call a comeback per se, but தமிழ்ல நீங்க கொஞ்சம் ஸ்பேரிங் அதை ஒர்க் பண்றதுக்காக ஸோ ஹவு இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் இஸ் மகாராஜா? பிகாஸ் இது ரொம்ப ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங்கான காம்பினேஷன் இல்லையா? இந்த சடனாக யோசிச்சு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த பேர்லாம்
very nice, yeah. Especially for me, I'm extremely excited. I mean, the first time I saw that, that initial poster that the production had shared to all of us, which had my name alongside VJS50 and Anurag Kashyap, and Natty, and it was such a nice. I was like, oh my God, I'm the only chick there, I'm the only babe there, So there is a moment of excitement in that, because I'm very used to being nice enough to. I've always been nice. I feel I've never hesitated to. Lend my support as playing a second lead, or even if I had to make a guest appearance, I've been very humble about it. And to be honest, have I gotten the same treatment back from fellow female actors? No, I haven't. When I have extended requests to, play second lead in my film, or even a guest appearance in my films, I've felt a lot of resistance. So I always felt that why is it that I'm not feeling that same niceness? And then I just tell myself, probably it's also because they haven't really. I mean, one is a career choice, but I think I've always put life before my career. So I think I kind of tasted that a little too early in my life, 23, 24. So I think from that point onwards, there's a lot of things that I started viewing life, cinema, everything very differently. So, this movie, for all those reasons, becomes very, very important and special for me. It is not just any other Vijay Sethupathi film. It is his 50th as well. That makes it a lot more special. And my gratitude goes out to the production house that contacted me for it, because how do I put this? I don't know the exact quote or proverb, but we did attempt to make a film 5 years ago together. Passion Studios would associate panni or Ume Virikal nu sollitu or movie. We had finished the film, and it was not in a form that it could, they were not happy with the final product. So therefore, it never came out. So because of that, obviously, when Sudan made the call for this film, I was caught in a moment. I was like, yeah, I know that during COVID and all, you probably would have been the most, you know, lucrative producer. You've made so many films, because I think he really did
He did.
rolled out some very good titles during COVID, and I was like, so then what happened to our film? So there's always that jinx, right? So I'm like, am I jinxed with Tamil? Like, I always had that feeling, but it was a moment for that to change.
Right.
When he made this call this time, and I, obviously asked him, okay, Sari, you've made many films. Female-oriented films could have called me. I that was my initial response. So, are you calling me for a film that's ever going to get finished and released? He was like, don't worry, this one will get completed. This one is with Vijay Sethupathi. I was like, what? That's USP.
Correct.
I was sold, and then the second question was, are there any other female artists in the film, or am I the only one? I'm not shy about being honest about that. That was my question, because there's a large part of the audience that doesn't know what actually happens behind camera.
Correct.
And there's always like a manager who will say that oh, if there's a second lead, my heroine is not going to do it.
Right.
And here I speak for myself. So I have to be honest about it. And he connects me to Nithalin, and I really like the story. There's a very good emotional track in the film, and it's a story of revenge. And obviously, the casting was extremely exciting. It got It added one more layer to it when the person opposite him became Anurag Kashyap. So, yeah, on the whole, extremely excited about the film, and I think this probably would be. This was the moment that I was waiting for, right. I can say.
ஏதோ ஒரு வகையில் வந்து நீங்கள் சொல்கிற விஷயம், யூ வாண்ட் டு ரெஸ்ட் த நரேட்டிவ் அபவுட் யூ, நானே பார்த்துக்கிறேன் அப்படின்றது மாதிரி ஒன்று இருக்கும். Because a lot of times we see, I think recent times, a lot of celebrities have come out and told their stories in their own accord, because they don't want anyone else to அது மாற்றியோ வேறு மாதிரி சொல்லியோ. அது உங்களுக்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட்லேருந்து தெளிவாக இருந்து சார், என் கதை நானே சொல்கிறேனே அப்படின்னு.
ஆமாம், அது எல்லா விஷயத்திலும் அது, பர்சனல் விஷயத்திலும் அது, ஈவன் இன் மை என்டையர் கரியர் டில் டுடே. I mean, there are people who would think otherwise. For me, they still very firmly say that, oh, Mamta, you should have always had somebody else to represent you. Because access to Mamta has always been difficult, is what I hear a lot from Tamil, Telugu. But I had my reasons to keep my access a little limited as well. As, just 4 years into my career, I was diagnosed with cancer. So, obviously, there is a part of, just like any artist, I think when there is something a difficult time that they're going through, they do, today you can come out in social media and say that please respect our time.
Right,
to figure this out.
Yeah.
At that time, it was not like that. We didn't have the access of social media, and who is going to say, oh, okay, you know what, I'm diagnosed with cancer, so please give me a break. Like, no one's going to say that, right?
Yeah.
So I went through that on my own, and so because of that, I had to create a very strict boundary as to whom I would allow into my circle, or even my mom would have to create a real filter, before anything reaches me. And that filter remains till today. So it will change. It changes when you have the so-called break.
Right.
I believe that if Maharaja gives me the opportunity to make that very powerful comeback, and if the film, I believe that this film was going to really work, because it has all the elements. Everything is pointing to it. Everything is pointing to a super hit. There have been people who've already watched the film, and they've been saying exciting things. So I'm like, wow, okay. If we have a winner, then, I win along with it. I get to celebrate, for the first time probably in because I don't think any of my films were blockbusters in Tamil. I've only done 3 before this. So I hope this is a lucky number for me.
பட் இஃப் யாராவது வந்துட்டு இந்த படம் பார்த்துட்டு உங்களோட கரியர் திரும்பி பார்க்குறாங்கன்னா, they'll have a lot of lovely films to watch.
I hope so. Thank you.
அது pan Indian இப்போ OTT-ல வந்துட்டு அப்புறம் அந்த ஒரு சர்ச் ஒன்று இருக்கு.
Definitely.
I wish they go watch a கதை தொடரும், because when you were mid-20s, when you did that role.
It would be extremely special to me, not just the fact that it was a good film, but besides that, that was a film that I literally did as soon as I finished my 6 months of my chemo and my radiation. So it was like there was so much, I had put of myself into that film. That was the first time I was celebrating every moment of a day at work. And I did that movie with a lot of love, and a very new set of gratitude towards life itself. So that was one phase of my rebirth, you know. But I think that was one phase of my rebirth as an actor.
Yeah.
But I feel there was another phase of a rebirth after I moved to LA as a person, as a human being. You know, there was another layer of maturity and understanding of life and more about myself.
It must
That
be
happened.
liberating, Ilya, to be there and not really care about
You know, a
what
lot
people
of,
are
you know how
saying.
many people have misconstrued the word liberation when I have told them that? So they think if you're truly free as an individual, there are a lot of people who are dying to be free here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So obviously they're going to misconstrue the word, right?
Correct.
They're going to think other things. I'm like, no, there's another happiness in that freedom. You'll think this is what you would want to do when you're truly free, but that's not what you end up doing.
Right, yeah.
You just end up getting so close to nature and just loving the nothingness in life.
Being your own self in a place itself is such an important factor. Ilya.
It was so awesome. I mean, I just realized that I can be happy with nothing, and nobody, and yeah, I don't need anything to be happy in the. I don't even have my health. So
Right,
then
yeah.
it's like I have nothing more to lose. You come to that point. Oh, that was awesome. That was bliss. Yeah.
But did cinema look at it differently? Like, because there's always a factor இல்லையா இங்க இல்லைன்னா நாங்க பார்க்க மாட்டோம், like out of sight out of mind மாதிரியான ஒரு விஷயம்.
Is it there, Niketa? No, I think I was on people's minds. But there were other people who were saying that Mamta is still sick.
Right.
I'm still working in Malayalam, but
Yeah.
the இங்க என்ன நிறைய பேர் சொன்னாங்க that இங்க கேள்விப்பட்டது is that you're in LA and you're still going through treatment.
Right. Okay.
I'm literally shooting in the next state, like next door, right? All they needed to do was make 2 calls. And this happens when a movie is being pitched. Right? A movie is being pitched to, you know, the director, producer, the casting, whoever, they're sitting together, and this is an over to the table conversation. There would be 2 artist manager over there. So immediately, so that they can push their artist in, the first thing that they say is, பாவம் ஒரு ட்ரீட்மெண்ட்ல இருக்காரு சார், you know, வேற இடத்துல பார்க்கலாம். அப்ப எனக்கு sympathy கிடைச்சிடும். So I once told somebody not so long ago that I said, your sympathy is not gonna, you know, it's not gonna pay me.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not what I want.
Yeah.
You know, so either I have your empathy and you enabling me,
Correct.
you know, to do something that you know, reinstills that belief that I am powerful, because I believe in myself, and that's how I've come this far. Right? I could have gotten wiped out long time ago, and so that's my journey. I think in I'm going to complete 18 years in the film industry in November, and these intervals that I've had has definitely helped me better as a human being, better myself as a person, mature more, have a better understanding of the field that I'm working in, or the purpose of why I'm actually doing cinema and where my real love lies as far as, you know, filming is concerned. And the other good thing is that still 18 years down the road, I still feel that I'm relevant. And thankfully, I've been able to stay consistent through changing times in cinema. Because cinema is also, I've seen cinema changing so much.
Correct.
And that is beautiful. Today it's a very exciting time for female artists. It's nice to watch other young women also who are coming up, the kind of roles that they get to do. Obviously, it would be like, oh my God, when I came, like I was literally being, you know, like they would, I'm coming to the location in one, like as Mamta. And then by the time, within 2 hours, I'm already someone who's like 10-15 years older than I actually am.
Right.
You know, in fact, I'm playing much younger characters now than I did in my 20s.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a very interesting time. And I'm glad I'm still here and I'm making it.
We are glad too.
Yeah.
Because I go back to you know, the films where you said that you're not probably playing the lead, but you're also part of a lot of like Janaganaman, for example. That is a powerful role.
Yeah.
The screen time might be not really extended, but that is a very powerful role.
Yeah.
Your voice acting in a few films, those have been powerful roles.
Yeah.
So now are you still in that space where you think in time screen time முக்கியமா இருக்கோ இல்லையோ ரோல் மட்டும் முக்கியமா இருந்தா போதும், or now you think அதுவும் இப்போ தேவைப்படுது. லைக் யூ நீட் டு டூ தட்
Rendu
ஆல்சோ.
madam, I think both are very essential, but it is also important to do that, this more shorter and more effective screen time in films that have potential,
ரைட்.
where you leave your signature, because nobody else could have played Sabha Mariam the way I did it, is what I believe. Um, because I do believe that, especially that one particular scene, there's a slow charge scene, where she is putting her foot down on that,
the front lines
the
there.
52
Yeah.
students, they're not quitters. Um, that scene is extremely powerful for me, and I don't see who else could have said it. And of course, in my head, I see only me in that.
Right.
Uh, because I felt that so intensely when I did it. I don't know how many of them can feel the pain of someone who had to end their life for a certain reason, because under pressure, who had to succumb to pressure, right? Um, because I'm a survivor myself, so on the pain, I don't know how many of them have the maturity at this age to
Right.
feel it, okay, the way I felt it in Sabha. So and I said it with that much grit, right? That's why I'm very cockily saying that, I don't see anybody else
Right,
playing Sabha
right,
other than
yeah.
me. But at the same time, on a lighter note, there are a lot of people who say there is nobody who could have done My Boss and Two Countries like I did, right? And now that's in a humor space.
Correct.
Which is like I love it. Like that's my forte. But I get to play a lot of drama, which is another thing altogether. I'm always with this serious, very intelligent face
But
on
you
screen.
are quite a funny presence on
I am
screen.
I'm actually a funny person. I mean, as in, I laugh a lot at myself.
Right.
That's what, because I've gone through, you can imagine, people have always like been through real challenges, or probably even death for that matter. We humor death.
Correct.
And like, hey, Yamraj is my buddy, So like, so I always say that lymphoma was always a guest at my doorstep. Now it's like sitting next to me on my couch. I've embraced it because it comes every 2 years, So, so you got to look at life like that. So even if my, at the end, in the beginning, I used to look at as every, I tried to get to the other side of, every stream, of any hurdle. But I realized that over a period of time, I realized that I might be in this journey for a very, very long time. Right. Might as well embrace it.
Right.
So, that became my attitude towards life. And the moment I embraced it and surrendered to it, resigned to the fight rather, and I think that was a moment, that was the thing that I experienced when I say in LA. That ultimate resignment to life, right?
Yeah.
No more fight, no more struggle. Why the resistance? Accept what is happening. That made me a different person. And that was an evolution of Mamta, I would say. Now, after that also, it takes time, right? Like for this industry to see the newfound strength and, the new person, the new rediscovered person. So I think now it is a perfect, and by then I've, had the good fortune of coming into this new age cinema,
Right.
telling style. So I get to do better roles. And now we have streaming digital platforms, giving the non-censorship also gives us freedom in screenwriting, exploring different characters, much more bolder, much more open, without having to hold back, in any without being restricted in any manner.
Right.
So, and I think women are complex. So those complexities are finally getting some, some
avenues to be explored.
To be explored and exploited, I would say. So that is wonderful. We need that. We need to push those boundaries, and hopefully actors like me will also, from that generation that, I had come in, we're getting a lot of opportunities now, which we've never gotten before. So the key is it's just like I tell people with the advancements and treatments. I keep telling people who are, on the verge of, I said, just stay alive.
Yeah.
I said, keep staying alive. Within the next 2-3 years, there's another, because that was how I discovered immunotherapy. It was a miracle for me. The key was I just kept fighting and I stayed alive till that came. Stay alive. Yeah. And, it's given me an opportunity just in cinema as well. I just stayed alive. That's all I did. Yeah. I would have had people trying to beat me down, people trying to create an illusion that Mamta's, not acting anymore. But here I am.
But does this the thought process வந்து உங்க ஆக்டிங் எப்படி like how does it
affect?
Yeah, like எப்படி இம்பாக்ட் பண்ணுது உங்க பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸா இருக்கட்டும், உங்களோட ப்ராசஸா இருக்கட்டும், like do you ஸ்கிரிப்ட் உங்களுக்கு கிடைக்குதுன்னா how do you go into the psyche of the characters? Have those things changed after what happened?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now it's like the hunger to understand what the director is thinking about the actor, the character, is extreme curiosity. I have extreme curiosity, so I ask a lot of questions, especially if the part is extremely, even if it is brief, like a
Right.
Janaganamana,
Yeah.
right? The psyche of the character is extremely important.
Hmm.
So in some opportunities, I get the energy from the director. In some, I don't.
Right.
Some directors don't know how to convey what is there in their mind to the artist. Some of them are really good at it. So you have to find your opportunities. Now, if you don't have an opportunity there, you have to do your own. You have to bring something on your own into the character. And for that, of course, we will need some material. At least understand the whole story. If not, if he's not able to convey just the character,
Right.
how can I make a difference to this character is the only thing that I need to be focused on. But does any of my do any of my weaknesses hinder with my strengths? I don't think so, because now I've learned how to perfectly manage the two and keep them where they belong.
Right.
So I always try to use whatever has tried to weaken me in my life to my strength, because that is where the challenge lies as well. I always want to better myself.
Are you switch on, switch off kind of an actor?
Not.
Right.
I'm not at all. I'm getting worse with it.
Okay.
I need a lot of time. So preparation is extremely important for me. What I need to do, if I need to feel well prepared that I'm ready for something, I need to learn everything and unlearn it.
Right.
Like I feel like I need to, like forensic and all, I think I literally by-hearted the entire script, or I knew scene by scene what was going on. And I would have probably sat with the script for almost 45 days. And then 1 month I kept the script away. Directly went into shoot. And that brought this beautiful blend of, she knows where she's going, but it's not a reflex anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because a part of it has, I've kind of forgotten what I had, but I was like, yeah, this is a story for me in my head.
Right.
Somewhere.
There are small
so
notes written
yeah,
somewhere.
it's like somewhere it's there, so it was nice. So I like to be prepared. And the other thing I also seem to be doing a lot is, I always have been, I think, one movie at a time. I can't juggle between projects. I cannot go run from one location to the other. I do one film, I take my time, take time off, I leave the country, I look for inspiration, and I come back. And I need to stay constantly inspired. That's another thing that I feel you can lack if you're going to constantly be only in this bubble. One is cinema is a bubble, India is a bubble.
Right.
Our thought process that we are restricted to is an even bigger bubble. So you need to get out of all this. The world is not like that.
Correct.
The world is a lot of things. So you need to really clean up that, top story and come back. Only then is it possible to enjoy what you're doing and look at it as though it is completely new, a new thing again. Otherwise, it'll feel very repetitive. Because I'll be honest, not always do I get moved or inspired by the scenes that are given to me. Some of them are mundane, lacks any thought whatsoever. I mean, even good films do have dull scenes. But it's totally up to the actor to add his intelligence to it as well. And when you have a good team, there's a good share where there is room for improvement. And I think over a period of time, that is another thing that I really like, improv. Keep improving each and every scene as we go. There is room for discussion. See, a lot of time used to be wasted in so many other ways. But today, with the new, breed of filmmakers, editors, spot editing, which was not there when I started my career. Freedom to watch every shot on the monitor. These were things that we did not do in the beginning years. Now, I can't call myself a veteran actor, but I'm a seasoned actor. So what happens is you already know where that shot is going to be cut, where it's going to be placed. The edit of the scene is perfectly in order in your mind. Even if we have not read that entire scene. Because there are times when if it's in a different language, the director does not come and give you the entire scene. Only your dialogue chunks will be given to you. Then the AD will come and brief you on the scene. But you still won't have the entire material. But if you have enough experience, you will be able to get into the director's mind and see how he has conceived this. And even if you see the spot,
Yeah.
how the room has been arranged, you will know how this is likely to be conceived. You will do all your PNCs, you know. So
So rehearsals must be something you like
pardon me?
rehearsals proper before, or you just want to go on?
It really depends. If it's very if it's a, the the artist with whom I think I can directly go into scene is probably Prithvi. Not because we are amazing as colleagues or we've done that many films together, but I know that he's a prepared actor.
Right.
He's an extremely prepared actor. He's ready for take. So there is and automatically I also come with the same mindset, and then we know we're ready to roll. You know, so we can go into the scene right away. But if it is otherwise with other actors, there are times when I do like taking master shots. I love master takes. Entire scene executed in one room, multiple cameras, bam. That should be the first shot according to me for every scene in every film. After that, do the cuts wherever it is required and suggestion, close, whatever, mids and everything. So yeah, I think that's about my short interest or whatever. Yeah.
அண்ட் இப்போ ஜென்ரலி நம்ம ஊரில் வந்து ஒரு அவுட் ஸ்போக்கன் சொல்லிட்டு they'll keep you in a box. They'll say எல்லாம் பதில் சொல்லிடுறாங்க, எல்லாம் சொல்கிறாங்கன்றது. They will not look into what you're saying, but why are you saying so much into ஒன்று இருக்கும்.
இப்படி இருக்கா? இப்போ இருக்கா?
அதான் கேட்குறேன். இப்போ இல்லாமல் போகுது. ஸோ
இப்போ கொஞ்சம் அதிகமா இருக்கு.
ஆனால் பேசலாம் இப்போ. லைக் எவ்ரிவன் ஹேஸ் டு பேசலாம் அப்படின்றது இருக்கு இல்லையா? அது எவ்வளோ முக்கியமாக பார்க்குறீங்க, எஸ்பெஷலி ஃபார் அன் ஆக்டர்? ஏன்னா அவங்க இப்படி தான் இருக்கணும், அவங்க இவ்வளோ தான் பேசணும், இதுதான் பேசணுன்ற ஒரு கட்டமைப்பு இருந்துச்சு இல்லையா? இப்போ அது ஸ்லோவாக இட்ஸ் ஜஸ்ட் ஸ்லோலி கோயிங் அவே.
See, I feel that mystery with actors is not there anymore. Right? So there's no more mystery behind it. With the coming of social media as well. When normal people get to express themselves so much, why should actors refrain from being themselves in front of the camera? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, and through social media, obviously they get an opportunity to say everything and anything, you know. But adaleyum, what I feel is there should be a certain decorum, I would say, in how you say and what you say. Now, because I have an opportunity to tear something or someone down just because I have the power of social media, you shouldn't weaponize it.
Right.
You know, so that is something, as much as freedom is amazing, I feel that is something that should not be encouraged or practiced that much. Because there is always a negative side to it, a dark side to it. But munnadi irukra madri, and I have to be in that chattakood, that glass box. Adu ipo illa. And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Everybody ultimately is going to seek freedom. And until they get that kind of freedom of expression, they're going to tear something else down. So you might as well tear these barriers, you know, which is unnecessary. Yeah.
இப்போ சோஷியல் மீடியா பற்றி பேசும்போது நான் கேட்குறேன், நீங்கள் ஆரம்பத்தில் அழகான சொன்னீங்க, நீங்கள் பேரன்லேருந்து இங்கே வரும்போது மீட்டிங் மமுக அண்ட் யூனோ there was something that because you came from there, உங்களுக்கு ஒரு நைவிட்டி இருந்திருக்கும், ஒரு இன்னசென்ஸ் இருந்திருக்கும், அண்ட் அப்ரோச் பண்ணும்போதே உங்களுக்கு ஒரு மென்டலி ஒரு பிக்சர் இருக்கும். இப்போ அது இல்லாமல் போகுது இல்லையா? லைக் யூ கேன் just walk next to you and say ஒரு ஃபோட்டோ வேணும். there's no more அந்த ஒரு இது இல்லாமல் போகுது இல்லையா? There is no not even saying mystery.
From the birth of camera phones.
Yes.
Which is horrible.
Yeah. So அது மாதிரி சுற்றி எப்போவுமே கேமரா இருக்கு. யார் எப்போ வேணாலும் வந்து ஒரு ஃபோட்டோ எடுக்கலாம். ஒரு ராங் மொமெண்ட்ல
எடுத்துக்கலாம். Very inappropriately. It'll come off as inappropriate. Because when my dad will watch this interview, he'll be like, why did you use that word? You know, so I don't want to. But yeah, it's become absolutely intolerable. Yeah, for sure. But what is the question there?
Yeah, அது வந்து
how do I tolerate it?
That's for sure. அது
everybody has to, we have no choice, right?
But அதுவும் ஒரு வகையில் வந்து there is this idea that I'm closer to my matinee idol now இல்லையா, which is not necessarily true. பட் அது அவங்க மைண்டில் அது வருது, அவங்க அதை வச்சு சொல்யூஷன் சொல்கிறதா இருக்கட்டும் இல்லை கேட்குறதா இருக்கட்டும்.
என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? ஒன்றுமே பண்ண முடியாது. They feel closer to feeling like an actor themselves because of the access to camera and social media and having the opportunity to put themselves out there. Some the so-called influencers are more popular than actors also, you know. So that is a world we live in, and I think we have to embrace it and accept it for what it is. But can it cause hindrance and I would say invading our privacy, or uh, does that cause irritation? Yes, it does. Does that give rise to experiences that would linger for a long time, where your something personal is being discussed on social media and exploited beyond? Yes. And the other thing that I'm extremely against is anybody and everybody with a social media platform or a YouTube channel being given the freedom to review a film on the day it has released. Give money to somebody and they're ready to tear your film apart. And you know how many people have put in their blood and sweat to make that film? So this is exploitation of social media, right? And platform. And as much as that, everything else in association with that also prevails. We as artists also feel that we don't have personal lives anymore. And that can really suck all your juice away. So that is why I said it is very important to get out of this bubble and get a piece of reality. That reality check is extremely important. As much as people are getting into your reality, right? It's not you're not an element of mystery to them anymore. And I feel there are other good aspects to it as well. So many casting opportunities have come through talent that we find on social media. Right. It's giving a lot of people an opportunity to earn some money for their families and to take care of them. So there's a good side and bad side to everything, and this needs to coexist, and it will. It's always been the way of the world, I would say. So,
for instance, when you said I didn't ப்ராப்ளி தெலுங்குல அந்த படம் மிஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன், இல்லைனா தமிழ் படத்தில் இப்படி ஆயிடுச்சு, நான் சொல்கிற விஷயங்கள்லாம் இருக்கு இல்லையா, அது எப்பயாவது உங்களுக்கு தோணுச்சு நம்ம இப்படி சொல்கிறோமே, லைக் வில் தே மிஸ்கன்ஸ்டியூட் தட் ஆல்சோ, ஆர் வில் தே டேக் இட் இன் த ஃபேஸ் வேல்யூ அப்படின்ற ஒரு டவுட் வந்துச்சா? பிகாஸ் we generally like to be all we expect our stars to be not say everything out loud, or humility வந்து we are seeing in different way இல்லையா?
It is not something that happened yesterday or day before. So when I tell my story, I say I'm as human as I can be. And there was no thought behind even say. In fact, I think even after that interview, it was a share like this, right. An honest share. And I talked to in media also, yes, as mindful as I should be at what I say. There are also times when I'm human in my interviews, I'm not political at all. So that share was a very innocent share. It was not to berate anybody. Trust me, there are a lot of people who have done a lot worse things to other people. Okay, so that was my part of it, and that's an honest thing. Whether people want to take it or not is nobody personally attacked me or anything. Because another thing, the access problem irundichu. Tamil crowd cannot access me or something. But it's a fact. It's a fact, and it happens. And nobody needs to take offense for that, is what I believe. If they have done it, then they've done it. The only problem is that they can't be honest about it. Right. Nobody likes to say that, okay, I did this mistake. Nobody's going to be honest about that, at least not as far as stars are concerned. True. They're not going to be humble about it either. Very few people are apologetic about what they actually do. So that happened, and then obviously when I signed out, that was a voluntary sign out. Nobody threw me out of the film. So that was the, that's the other side to it. The humor behind it was, it took me 2 more years to realize that. When Rajmouli sir told me was when I realized that, oh shit, I actually made a mistake like 2 years ago. Okay, but that was innocent me who knew nothing about cinema either. So I've forgiven myself for that. Yeah.
And இப்போ சொல்கிற மாதிரி இப்போ மகாராஜா பார்க்க போகிறாங்க, பார்த்துட்டு they'll be like, we've seen her somewhere. எனிமியில் கொஞ்சம் பார்த்துருப்போம், சிவப்பதிகாரம்ல பார்த்துருப்போம், அந்த ஒரு இது இருக்கும். பட் இஃப் யூ ஹேட் டு சே நான் இவ்வளோ பண்ணியிருக்கேன், இதையும் பாருங்கன்னு, இஃப் யூ வாண்ட் லிஸ்ட் யோர் 5 or whatever, உங்கள் லிஸ்ட்டு சொல்லுங்க. நான் இதெல்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்கேன், நீங்கள் இதெல்லாம் பாருங்களேன் அப்படின்னு நீங்கள் சொன்னீங்க, அதை சொல்லுவீங்க.
என்னென்ன மூவிஸ்?
Of yours, yes.
For some reason, Lanka. Yes. കഥ തുടരുന്നു. My Boss. Janaganamana. And Live.
Yes. Vicky Prakash Panna. Yeah. And கொஞ்சம் லாஸ்ட் 2 கேள்வியாக வச்சுக்கிறேன். வென் இப்போ நான் வந்து சொல்கிற மாதிரி, நான் மலையாள படங்கள் பார்த்து முக்கியமான பார்த்து வளர்ந்த காலத்தில் நான் உங்களை பார்த்து நிறைய படங்கள் நான் வளர்ந்துருக்கேன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. வளர்ந்தேன்னா நான் வளர்ந்தப்ப தான் பார்த்தேன். I finished school
You're
that
on your
time.
way up.
Yeah, ஸ்கூல் முடிச்சிட்டேன்.
Yeah.
அப்புறம் தான் பார்த்தேன். ஸோ அப்படி இருக்கும்போது and when I see you do My Boss, it's just funny, like downright funny.
Yeah.
And then நீங்க அன்வர்ல ஒரு படம் ரோல் பண்றீங்க, கதை தொடர் வந்து பண்றீங்க. இந்த வெர்சாட்டிலிட்டி இருக்கு இல்லையா? இது இருக்கு. ஆனா இது எல்லாரும் யூஸ் பண்ணாங்களா இல்லையான்ற ஒரு டவுட் உங்களுக்கு வருமா? லைக் நான் இவ்வளோ பண்ணியிருக்கேன்ல, இவ்வளோ ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் நான் கொடுத்துருக்கேன் உங்களுக்கு, நீங்க திரும்பி என்ன நீங்க ஏன் ஒரு பாக்ஸ்ல வைக்கிறீங்கன்ற ஒரு கேள்வி வருமா?
If you're asking me as far as if I'm going to ask the Tamil audience that or Tamil filmmakers that, I definitely would, because there is, I mean, I have definitely my body of work is large. In fact, I remember there was this immigration officer that I met in LA, and they wanted, for some sort of like an EB2 green card or something, they need to see your media, this thing. And when I gave him my work, this guy was like, because people come for these sort of applications with 3-4 films behind them. So I had like some 38 odd films at the time, and he was like, "Oh my God, ma'am, your body of work." I said, yeah, this is how Indians work. I've heard about the population, but this is real. I was like, yeah. I have quite a population on paper as well, so it was hilarious. So yeah, I would definitely constantly have this, I don't know whom to throw this allegation against. I would be like, can you please look at what I'm capable of and put me in the right. But I think cinema also has its time. I'm more happier with the modern day, because I remember some action scripts came to me a few years ago, and I was not happy with the team that was going to make it.
Right.
Because I have a certain kind of film, a certain kind of filmmaking or film style when it comes to action that I watched while I was growing up. Obviously, watching Bond films and all, you grow up and you don't want to do films which, the type in which, not that they were bad, as far as South Indian films were concerned, they were progressive in their times. A Vijay Shanti film or Vani Vishwanath and all had done in the past. But that's not the format in which I see myself, at all. Yeah. So I'm also waiting for cinema to take its, form, which as in, today we have that. Today we are using, be it the bolts or, we have stylized shots it can be used for a female artist as well. That's when you get these, I always believe heroes are not born. Heroes are created for screen. So give the same for a female artist as well. They will also shine the same way.
Right.
So, it's now that we are beginning to get our doors opened properly. So yeah, hopefully that red carpet will be rolling for us soon. So I think this is the perfect opportunity.
The final question, I was specifically asked to ask you this. What's up with Bilal?
What's up with Bilal? You'll have to ask Bilal this question.
Because they're like I also want to see you back in that.
Yeah.
And I want to see the film back. That was probably that was the first film I saw in Kerala. Like I went to Kerala to my exams or something. I saw it on the big screen.
Yeah.
I'm still in awe of that film. And
yeah.
I say what Innocence said for that line. I use that at home even now. So it's that important, the film.
Yes.
So people are just asking. I said I'm going to interview you, and they were like, do ask this question.
Oh, yes, I know. I've been asked that question a lot. And, they rolled out a film called Bhishma, which was, loosely around the film. I don't know if Bilal was being talked about a lot, that we're coming. And then all of a sudden it went hush, hush. So you'll have to either talk to Amal or Mamuka about it.
I'll try.
Yes,
sure.
please do.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
It's a lovely conversation. I hope it was same for you also.
Yes, thank you, and please do watch Maharaja when it comes
Will
out.
do.
Right? Yeah, thank you.
So much.
Thank you for having me.